All I can tell you is you're going to love today's Know the Cause. We had a ball putting it together, but don't hear it from me. Watch this.
The NIH conducted a recent study that said over 11% of the U.S. adult population lives in chronic daily pain. And this is creating another epidemic.
FDA approved. Now, let me read you what they wrote. This is right off MedPage. All these doctors. FDA rushing risky drugs to market. Pharmaceutical companies underwrite research. FDA greenlights shady drugs.
Right, you know, Doug, most people, and this is kind of unbelievable, have had cancer for 7 to 10 years before the American system will let you know that you have it.
All that and a whole lot more on this Know the Cause. Today's Know the Cause is brought to you by Life Extension. Stay healthy, live better. My name is Doug Kaufman. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me in a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. We have a real treat for you right now. You've never met Dr. Darla Semper. She's with Life Extension, the company I happen to be absolutely in love with. They've been sponsors of ours for a few years. She's going to talk about something that affected more than likely you and millions of other Americans, and that is discomfort. Ouch. When you woke up this morning, did you roll over and the first words out of your mouth were, oh, ow? We need to talk about that. It's a huge problem. This company is working to resolve that problem for you. So, Dr. Semper, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for coming
having me.
in. Man, I love your company. And you represent so well the people in the company. I have people all the time that tell me they call Life Extension, they have a couple of questions, and the dear hearts over there. They talk and talk and talk.
Great.
Thank
Even
you.
if you don't buy something, you could just give us a call and talk to us.
Isn't that wild?
It is.
Now,
It's great.
I want to preface our conversation by telling people that Dr. Semper is a molecular pharmacologist. I didn't either, right? I had no idea either. Very, very intelligent woman. And she wants to talk to you about, she was at the airport yesterday, she wants to talk to you about the 80 people in her immediate environment waiting to get on that airplane who are in discomfort. So
Yes.
do tell.
Chronic discomfort is a growing problem in the U.S. The NIH conducted a recent study that said over 11% of the U.S. adult population lives in chronic daily pain. And this is creating another epidemic if you talk about the opioids and what's going on with that, because opioids aren't the right fix for the problem for chronic pain. They're great for acute pain, but chronic pain is something different. And there's different signaling that happens with it. With chronic pain, once it sets in, there's an amplification of the pain signal, and there's these immune inputs from the peripheral nervous system. So you have the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. Your brain is your central nervous system, and your periphery is what feels. And it's when that peripheral nervous system gets damaged, it tells the brain, hey, this part of your body is damaged over here, let's take care of it. And the brain is actually more sensitive to stimulation in that area and will give you pain signals even in the absence of pain.
See, what Dr. Semper is saying here is, you guys know what that is, right? Acute pain, ow, as opposed to waking. It's one thing, like I started this segment, Dr. Semper, to wake up in the morning and go, ow. It's a whole other thing to go to bed. And then all through the night, ow, ow, ow. That's chronic pain. Is there any hope for those who are 10, 11%, 350 million Americans, so about 40 million people are in chronic ow?
Chronic pain, and even higher than that is almost 40% of people experienced severe chronic pain.
No.
Like, you're talking on a pain scale of 0 to 10, up there between 8 and 10.
Now I'm looking at these opioids all differently. I mean, there are people, there are kids hooked on them. You know, even the pharmaceutical companies are now saying, okay, we got to put the brakes on this. But there are people, and I thank God every day that I'm not one of those. When I work clinically, I saw a lot of that. And it really makes you cry. you get in that car and say, wow, thanks, you know, that
Yeah.
I don't suffer like that. What are some of the medicinal fixes? We talked about opioids, but are there drugs that doctors have? Are there pharmaceutical drugs that may help with chronic pain?
There are, but they don't really get to the core of the problem, which is that dual action. There's really two ways that you could approach chronic pain, and that's to target the peripheral nervous system, that immune component, and then to target the central nervous system, that amplification of the pain signal. And there's actually some great natural products that do exactly that.
Okay.
One of them is called pymidyl ethanolamide.
Oh, easy.
Easy. We'll call it PEA for
Thank
short.
you. Good.
Yep, so PEA is actually naturally produced in your body in response to inflammation and helps ease inflammation. And they've done a lot of clinical trials actually in Italy and in other places on PEA in conditions of chronic pain, and they've seen great results. I'm going to give you some statistics here. The number needed to treat, which is a pharmaceutical gold standard, to get a 50% in pain reduction is usually 5 or below. And for PEA, it was 2.
No.
Yes, so this
Okay.
is an amazing ingredient.
Okay, so let me set this up for you. Dr. Semper is with Life Extension. Who's the brilliant company out there doing all of the research, right? Who's at the forefront all the time? You know where we're going with this. If you suffer, if you're one of those ouch people in the morning, stay tuned. The next few minutes is just going to blow you away. Stick with me through this break, and we'll come back and talk about some of these products. Don't go away. We'll be right back with you. Dr. Darla Semper is with us today from Life Extension. I want to congratulate them, number one. Number two, I want to go back to the beginning, Dr. Semper, how I started this show. How many of you rolled over this morning and experienced huge amounts of discomfort? Yeah, I see the hands, right? A lot of people do. Thank you for working with Life Extension, for researching these products, and for giving us an alternative when we experience this discomfort.
Correct.
So I
We don't want to
appreciate that.
just put that Band-Aid
No.
on it. We want to get to the core of it.
Yeah.
And that's what Comfort Max does.
This one.
Yes,
Yeah.
it works in the periphery for the PEA, easing that inflammation, and then it also works in the central nervous system to promote comforting GABA signaling.
And you know what I like? I think you discussed this during the first segment. We are actually getting to the etiology, the cause of the discomfort, instead of just Band-Aiding it.
Correct.
You know, and that's what's exciting, because taking an aspirin for years and years and years never addresses the etiology. But sometimes, folks, just by changing, by trying nutritional supplements, you can address really what's gone wrong. And this product is a good one in that field. Teach us about the other three here.
So we have our Arthromax Herbal Joint Formula, which this is our best-in-class joint formulation. It really is. It has 3 natural herbs that combine to support healthy cartilage and ease discomfort in the joints.
Wow, that's got to be a big seller.
That is. That's one of
people
my
age.
favorite ones. My mother, she had some issues with her joints. But you know, you get
Yeah.
older. She still wants to stay active though and walk a lot, and that helped her tremendously.
Okay, as we age, folks, everybody probably wants that in their cupboard, right? Discomfort is a real problem as we age. Now this one.
So that's our advanced biocurcumin, and
Oh.
that's our best-in-class curcumin. It, as we talked about in the past, curcumin is good for helping ease inflammation, and that's one of the underlying causes of discomfort is that inflammation. And curcumin will do a wonderful job at easing inflammation.
You told me earlier today that you happen to paint the house. You know,
Exactly.
talk about a little discomfort in your joints. It's because you don't do that every weekend. I mean,
You
that isn't your
don't.
job, right? You
You
sit at a
don't.
desk and help people and develop these amazing products. And you said this is a product for weekend warriors, somebody like you.
Exactly.
Okay, teach
Tartary
us.
is for the weekend warrior. So that's after like the exercise-induced muscle pain, or you know, you've been outside gardening a little bit and you're squatting and bending in places that you don't usually go to. That will definitely help with that after muscle ache that you get.
Man, I could have used that. On my 50th birthday, I ran the White Rock half marathon. I ran it with a young physician who was 29 years old, and he said, Doug, couldn't you now turn around and do that again? I couldn't walk to my car. I went home, got in the bathtub, and my legs were firing like they were going out of style. It's that kind of temporary discomfort that this really, could it help people with specific discomfort? In other words, these two together, you know, the joint.
Those two together would be a powerful combination for individuals that after working out they have both joint pain and muscle pain. That would be a wonderful combination.
Does this, Dr. Semper, this combination seem to be good for, you know, acute discomfort as opposed to, okay, you brought that on yourself, but take it for a period of time? Generally, how long does it take before people don't wake up in the morning and go, ouch, when they're on a trio like this?
So the Comfort Max has some really great data around it. The pimidolethanolamide, the PEA, can work in as little as a week.
Wow.
Which is wonderful for a natural supplement. We usually say, you know, allow 8 weeks, 12 weeks for it to really
Sure.
get full effects, but the clinical studies around PEA as little as a week.
Now, personal question, how long did it take the weekend warrior to notice that, gosh, I'm not so, you know, I don't have this discomfort. Yeah, it's not so young anymore. That's what it proved to you, right?
Exactly.
Okay, folks, this comes to you from, I think, one of the great supplement companies of all time. I mean, I go back with this company to when I got married in 1980. It's a lot. This company's been here a long time. Obviously, they have amazingly professional people. If you're experiencing discomfort, any product that Dr. Semper talked about today, or all of them, is 50% off. You get that glossy magazine, all sorts of perks when you work with Life Extension. God bless you. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you so much for having us. We love it.
You know, I'm not the one to blow this whistle. As a matter of fact, it's MedPage Today. This is a wonderful service. MedPage Today is a website that furnishes physicians with ongoing education, everything from vaccinations to new pills. Here's what they, not Doug Kaufman, here's what they wrote. And I want to start by showing you this graphic. FDA approves 2 new drugs, Nuplazid, you know, I can't even say these words, Nuplazid for Parkinson's disease, and Uloric for gout. Okay, got those 2 new drugs? FDA approved. Now, let me read you what they wrote. This is right off MedPage, all these doctors. FDA rushing risky drugs to market. Pharmaceutical companies underwrite research. FDA greenlights shady drugs. Nuplazid, a drug for hallucinations and delusions associated with Parkinson's disease, failed 2 clinical trials. In a 3rd trial, under a revised standard for measuring its effect, doesn't work, so let's change the rules. It showed minimal effect. Overall, more patients died or had serious side effects on Nuplazid than after receiving 0 treatment. Okay, you think that's a good drug? Listen to this. Patients on Uloric, a gout drug, suffered more heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure in 2 out of 3 trials than did their counterparts on standard medications or no medications at all. These are bad drugs. Now let me read you the next sentence. Nevertheless, the FDA approved both of these drugs with a deadly aftermath. And then it goes on to tell how many people suffered and died. Folks, let me say again, pharmaceutical companies underwrite the research. Psst, hey docs, here's $2 million. Can you help us find these drugs effective? Because they're worth billions, okay? And then the FDA greenlights these drugs, despite the fact they're no good. Sometimes drugs are good, sometimes they're effective. Antibiotics were a good thing. They have been grossly abused today, not by my standard, by these same companies, by medical doctors. Man, we have grossly overused antibiotics. Do you think it's surprising they're linked to an increased risk of 5 of the most common kinds of cancer? The more antibiotics you take, up goes your risk of breast, prostate, lung, colorectal, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's not shocking, okay? Let's just go over some facts. Now, never let me be the one to tell you to be careful with drugs. No, let me be that person. Don't let me be the person to tell you to stop taking drugs. Drug companies are smart. They know that getting off a drug is just as dangerous, often, as starting you on a drug. Only your doctor can take you off drugs. Here's what I want you to understand. I've made it 69 years without drugs. I've taken antibiotics a few times, but no other drugs. I exercise. I eat differently than old guys. I live my life differently, and I've taught my own producer here in 13, 14 years to do the same. We have to be careful because your FDA is going to approve drugs that drug companies want on the market. Even, can you imagine a doctor's journal calling these risky and shady drugs? Where does that put the FDA? Okay? Now, prescription drugs. Americans are taking more prescription medication than ever before, so says Consumer Reports. And you know what, with all due respect to Consumer Reports, that's not a good thing. I mean, it's just like everybody telling you, well, we're all taking drugs, it's okay. It's not okay. We have the right. I wish you could go back and see some of my Facebook Live 1-hour shows where I really put more attention than 5 minutes on these things. Folks, it's our health. We have the right to say no, and there may be consequences to that. You must weigh the benefits. Now that you know shady drugs are going on the market, and doctors rarely know this, you have to know the benefit and the risk, okay? 70% of Americans are on at least one prescription drug. That statistic blows my mind. Adverse drug events, they're called ADEs, cause approximately 1.3 million emergency department visits annually, 350,000 each year need to be hospitalized for further treatment after emergency visits for adverse drug events, so says the Center for Disease Control. Can I get a big chick-ching? Who's losing? Pharmaceutical companies? Doctors? No, you got to go to them to get these. We're losing. Please, folks, I implore you, please be careful out there. We really must make prudent decisions the older we get. Our vulnerability to fungus, bacteria, protozoa, viri goes up as we age. Keep exercising, keep eating right, keep taking your supplements, okay? And just know, use your head and your heart in these decisions, because the FDA is putting some drugs on the market. Well, I'll just leave it that way.
Wait to feel sick.
Oh, come on.
We wait to get
Jenny
symptoms.
Hrabachik. You have seen Jenny Hrabachik on the show all the time, right? You didn't know she and I have been friends for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, I'm on a podium years ago, and I noticed people walking around with this little sticker on them saying, no bump, no lump. So I asked somebody, where did that sticker come from? And in line, waiting to shake my hand, was Jenny Hrabachik. She's a registered nurse. She's a cancer sufferer in the past. She's fine now. She found her way out of all this turbulence that is cancer, cancer care, worried, biting nails about cancer in the future. And she's here to help you with that today. She's written a book, a couple of books, Cancer Free, Are You Sure? Your Guide for Cancer Testing. Welcome. Thank you. Wasn't that wild what we were just talking about? We must sometimes be surveilled just to make sure there's no AMAS antibody. Tell people a little bit about how many, I want to quote your book. The most dangerous symptom of cancer is no symptom.
Right.
Expound.
Right. You know, Doug, most people, and this is kind of unbelievable, have had cancer for 7 to 10 years before the American system will let you know that you have it. To me, that's 7 to 10 years of lost opportunity to intervene without chemotherapy, without surgery, without radiation, to allow your body to heal, because we are made by an incredible creator, and healing is encoded in our DNA. Our body wants to be healthy. You know, you break your arm, it heals. You cut your finger, it heals. You get cancer, you see arthritis coming, you see diabetes coming. All of these things, I'm telling you, we can correct them. The body can heal. We can't wait 7 to 10 years.
I know.
When we've got this tumor, and then this fear comes over us, and it devastates. I've seen as a nurse, and and worked with thousands of people. I've seen the devastation. You
said something about this friend of yours in Japan, this physician, that his worst scale, 0 to 5, his worst scale is our number one, our first recognition. So he sees the worst in his cancer patients is our, don't worry about it.
Well, that's Dr. Tomosu Kobayashi. For the last 4 to 5 decades, he has been testing his patients with a simple blood test. You know, like we always think, oh, you can't test for cancer, but we all go to the doctor and we have our CBC, we have our cholesterol, we have our diabetes check, but we don't check for cancer, because remember what you said earlier, the symptoms aren't there and it won't show up for many, many years. Well, anyway, he has some very sensitive tests, which many of the tests in my book incorporate those things that he looks for. And he has a scale of 1 to 5, and he ranks his patients and his patients don't die, and they don't get tumors that are detectable. So 1 to 5, when you top out on his scale, which is the number 5, when you're at Kobayashi number 5, you are just appearing on the U.S. system as a stage 1 cancer.
Wow.
So we've got the wrong approach. We are chasing tumors, we're waiting for tumors, and that's the wrong approach.
Hey, Jenny, how was it when they said to you, you had breast cancer? You're a nurse. Do you remember getting in your car and driving out? Where was your heart? Was it just sunk?
Oh my goodness, I was really in shock because I was 47 years old at the time. I felt great. I didn't have not one symptom, but yet I had this tumor that needed potentially surgery. They were trying to schedule, they were sending me to an oncologist. And I thought, how could this be? I feel fine. But you know, Doug, the first thing people usually ask when they have cancer is, well, how bad is it?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I asked it in a different version. I said, well, how long have I had this? Because I go to the doctor every year and I get all my lab work done and it's always fine.
Yep.
And even my tumor markers that traditional doctors check were fine when I had the tumor. And that's when they said, oh, you've had this for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And that's when my heart sunk because I thought I could have been healing.
But your interest peaked, and look how God used that valuable information.
Right.
How, you know, every one of these symposiums you're at and I'm at, I meet these people who say to me, you know, if it wasn't for her. What about me? No, if it wasn't for her, my cancer would have been because I had a tumor marker, folks. In medicine, they have all these tumor markers, CA125, CA19, et cetera. And she expounds, she talks about that in the book. But there are other markers way before those that she is able, the laboratory is able to say, just be careful right now. She's written about diet, she's written about everything from poly-MBA to zinc to all the good stuff and all the bad stuff. You are a winner. Congratulations on the second book here. This is big.
It's a rewrite, it's up to date, and my heart is to let me help them live cancer-free and never get in the position I got in.
Our ultimate caretaker, Jenny Herbacek, RN. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Was I right or was I right or was I right? Is that a great show? Thank you so much, Dr. Semper, for being here today and continuing our education. Folks, that's what Life Extension does. And when you become a customer, every one of the supplements she talked about today, and there's a lineup, is 50% off. Maybe you'd like one, maybe you need all 4. Talk to one of their representatives. These are sharp nutrition people that will talk to you for 10 or 15 minutes on the phone, help you sort out the supplements you're taking. They're great, great people. I love them. You'll also get the magazine, the glossy magazine that comes out every month. Yours for an education process. That's what Life Extension and Know the Cause does. Continue your education. Thank you also, Jenny, for coming in today, Nurse Jenny, and continuing our education. She's so amazing. Boy, how she found her way out of that misery is an amazing story, and we can all share in it. That's what this show is all about. Make sure you tune in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday right here at knowthecause.com for live Facebook talking about mold, mildew, and fungus and how it may be taking you down. Until then, God bless you guys. I'll see you next time.